Oh man, I'm sure glad I made this teepee before everything went to hell. It's been a real lifesaver. Just having this structure up, just a place to get out of the wind and the elements when it's raining like it was like, oh hey guys, come on back. I have to kind of keep my voice down because we're not exactly in friendly territory. Even though I've made it over here to my bug out location, we've been here for about 2 months now. We're almost out of everything. We're running really low on ammo. I'm down to my 1022. Got a couple of mags left for the AR, but that's about it. I mean, there's been just so much firefighting and things like that I just never thought, I didn't factor in. I just didn't think that I'd go through 2,000 rounds of ammo as quickly as I did, but I did. Just getting here used up quite a few. Just getting over here used up quite a bit of ammo. But I wanted to bring you guys over and kind of show you what our situation is like right now. As you're probably aware by now, we don't have any real infrastructure here on this property. We've got an old dilapidated mobile home, and it has become the target of thieves and vandals and stuff like that. Anytime we let our guard down and go any other part of our property, that trailer has been just ransacked. So we can't store anything in there. We've had some stuff stolen along the way. But my wife and I, we rarely ever even get to see each other because we're usually on opposite ends of the property, doing patrols. We're constantly doing patrols every day, and that uses up a lot of our energy. One good thing about the patrols is sometimes I'll come across some wild edibles, such as right now we're in morel mushroom season, so we've been picking a whole bunch of morel mushrooms. Some of the other things around here on my property that are good and safe to eat are the prickly pear cactus. There's different ways you can prepare those, and they're not the best tasting things in the world, but they'll put something in your belly, and that's a really important thing right now. But yeah, we're just running out of everything. But as I'm out patrolling, every now and then I'll find a squirrel or a rabbit or something like that. And if I've got my 1022, this thing has just been incredibly important to our survival plan. I mean, for one thing, it doesn't make as much noise as a lot of the larger caliber rifles and stuff like that we have. So I'm able to be more stealthy. You know, of course, it makes the report of any firearm going off, but it's a 22, so it's not nearly as loud. And if I'm in the right parts of my property, people can't triangulate where we are. So this has been a vital survival tool. In fact, it's one of my favorite things. It's lightweight enough that I can carry it around all day, and I'm not inhibited by the weight. And now, one thing I wish I had was a sling for this, but I didn't get a sling put on it before the shit hit the fan. So we're just running with what we got. One other thing that I didn't really consider, and I really wish that, you know, if I could go back in time, I would have bought myself an extra pair of glasses. I've already scratched up my glasses, and you know, I can see without them, but not real fine, delicate work. So like when you're cleaning your guns and different things like that, my near vision is not very good anymore. As I've aged, you know, my near vision is not quite as good as it used to be. So that's been a real problem. And again, if I had a time capsule or had some way of going back in time and telling myself something, I would have bought an extra pair of prescription glasses just for this event, because this whole right side has micro scratches all over it, and my right eye is actually my strong eye. It's also my aiming eye, so that's been a bit of an issue. Now thankfully I've got a scope here on this rifle, so that's helped me out quite a bit. Last few nights I've stayed over here in the teepee. I try to move around the property. I don't like to stay in the same location for more than a couple of days, just because, you know, people can triangulate you. People can hear little noises, and you know, sometimes at night I'll set a little fire out here to cook on and things like that, and just for the comfort of having a fire. I mean, it just makes you feel so much more human when you can have a small fire. But we have to keep it very low profile, very small, so that we can put it out instantly, and we don't want to make a lot of smoke, so we're trying to burn these fires real hot and clean so that people can't track us down and triangulate us. So even here on my bug out location, not as bad as it was in the suburbs, but we're still getting constant attacks from marauders, people coming around that are desperate. And basically the new rule is, for the past month or so, is if we see a person, we hide. And we get into a defensive position, a fighting position. No one is invited here on my property. There's no trespassing signs all around, and we've had to engage some people, and I don't ever like doing that. I never like having to raise my firearm at a person, but you know, when they're a threat to you and your survival, you have to do what you have to do to survive. So again, I'm thankful for everything I have. You know, we have, again, the prickly pears here to eat, and there's lots of those. We have lots of morel mushrooms. I've gotten about 5 or 6 squirrels, although my property doesn't have a ton of squirrels because we have a big hawk population, so I think they keep the squirrels in check. I've gotten a couple of rabbits. Now, the rabbits I've gotten have been real wormy, and we've had to really cook them extra crispy, blackened, I guess we'll say, because we're scared to death of getting some sort of you know, parasite or something that's going to give us dysentery, because that could be deadly in a situation like this. Our water situation is okay. We've got the pond down there, so we've been filtering water, boiling water, things like that, to keep us hydrated, and that's been a challenge. I mean, we have to dedicate about 2 hours a day just to taking care of our water needs. Speaking of the pond, though, one of the really great things is that pond is loaded with fish. So I've been able to eat fish about 3 times a week. We eat fish. I've got my fishing poles over here and stuff like that. And we've got some other means of catching fish if we have to, some nets and different things like that. But it's been really rough. This teepee has held up quite well. I built this last summer, and so I'm really glad that I have it. And it gives me, if nothing else, it gives me a place to get out of the wind and out of the rain, direct rain. Now, some drips do come through here because it's not totally sealed off, but it's just something that I'm really glad that we got built back when we had lots of food and lots of energy and stuff like that, because to do something like this is it takes a lot of strain, a lot of work, a lot of energy to create something like this. So I'm glad that it's up. One thing I want to do here in the next few days is build myself a little door so that I can totally close in and keep the heat in here that I produce from my body. Although we're in the summertime months now, springtime, summertime months, so it's, not as bad. It's been 80 degrees. It's been staying in the upper 60s, lower 70s at nighttime, so it's perfect for sleeping and stuff like that. But again, it's just been really tough. Just so many things I wish I'd have done differently. I wish I'd have spent more of my money, my fiat currency, on canned foods and beans and rice and stuff like that while I could get them. Because as you guys know by now, I mean, the whole food supply chain collapsed, and there is no commerce anymore. It's just, it's all out without rule of law. So we don't dare go around any civilizations or cities or towns or anything like that, because it's an instant death sentence. Everyone is scared of other people. So the best thing to do is stay away from other people. And okay, sorry, I just heard something over there. Not sure what that was. Let's take a look. Okay, I don't see anything, but we're going to keep everything on standby, ready to go. Yeah, you have to just constantly keep your head on a swivel, and it really wears you out and tires you down. So, just totally different than what we had before, where everything was so comfortable, and we had everything just basically handed to us on a silver platter. Now you have to work hard for every single thing, whether that be catching wild game or going out and finding, mushrooms and finding things that are safe to eat. One other thing we have here are cattails, and every part of a cattail is edible, so we've been eating some of those. And again, it's not delicious. It's not the best meal you've ever had, but it puts food in your belly. It's better than eating a leather shoe or something like that. So we still do have probably 15, 20 pounds of beans, and maybe 30 pounds of rice left. So we've been incorporating that, and that's really the only thing that's been keeping us alive. And of course, we're having to boil up the pond water and stuff like that just to make this food. So that's a big deal. We've got plenty of firewood. My wife and I saved our firewood from when we were cutting trails and cutting 2 tracks out here and stuff. Last year, we saved all of our firewood and stacked that up, so that's been really nice. I haven't had to really work for any firewood. I've got lots of branches and different things around that I can burn. But yeah, if I could go back in time, I mean, just so many things, mainly food, water, water filters, more ammo. I've got quite a bit of 22 left right before the shit hit the fan. I actually found a couple of more 325 round boxes of 22 ammo and got a pretty good deal on that before things went bad. But yeah, guys, just dirty all the time. I stink all the time. I can't really take a proper bath or shower. It's basically bucket baths is the only thing we can do. You know, as far as your oral care and dental care and stuff like that, we ran out of toothpaste about, what was that, 2-3 weeks ago. We ran out of toothpaste. So basically we just use a toothbrush, dry, and kind of clean it as best we can. But you know, your mouth always just tastes really gross. One thing that I've noticed that kind of helps is I did buy some vodka before things went bad. And I'll use a little bit of vodka just for the sterilizing aspect of it. You know, I'll rinse out with a little vodka, and then, you know, I don't spit it out. I drink it because you need that little relief once in a while. So yeah, it has definitely been a tough time. And one of the things that's real interesting to me is that although there's a lot of time when you're just sitting around waiting for something to happen, there's never a dull moment, because, you know, constantly we'll hear gunfire off in the distance, or we'll you know, see some people out near our gate messing around with our gate and stuff like that. So there's always something that keeps you in the adrenaline zone. You know, it keeps your adrenaline level pumping high, and of course that uses up a lot of energy. I'm extremely exhausted almost all the time. Usually what I do at nighttime is I try to sleep in 2-hour shifts. I'll sleep a couple hours, my wife will sleep a couple of hours, and we've got our radios. I actually don't have it with me right now, but it's back on the charger. I've got a solar panel. Before things went bad, we bought a Harbor Freight solar panel kit, the Thunderbolt Magnum or whatever it's called. I remember I thought it was pretty funny, the name of that thing, but in reality, that has been a lifesaver. It's just made it to where we can charge our radios, our lights, other things like that that we need, that a lot of people probably weren't thinking about. I know they weren't, because the last time I was around some people, I broke out my radio and called my wife, and they were shocked that I had any way to charge those radios and stuff, because most people just didn't think of that. Everyone was so used to being on the grid and having that convenience of just going and plugging something into the wall, and they all thought it was going to come back on. But in reality, it didn't come back on, and it's not going to come back on. Of course, as you know by now, I don't even remember when that was, but I showed you guys that map. There are some glimmers of hope here in the nation, but in the zone we're in, it's still just Mad Max. It's basically Mad Max. Every man, every woman for themselves. You don't see many children around anymore. It's tragic. You don't see many dogs around anymore. We've still got our dog, but it's been really tough because, you know, he consumes a lot of food, he makes a lot of noise, and it's just one of those things that if we could have thought about it, we could have had more food stored up and stocked up over here for him, but we just didn't. So he has to share with us, and that's pretty tough when your belly is growling and you know your dog is starving to death. You have to give them some of that food. So yeah, it's been a really tough, exciting but miserable existence since everything collapsed. And as you probably know by now, there are Russian and Chinese troops on the ground. They have boots on the ground. They took part of Texas, and the Texans put up a hell of a fight, and they were able to kind of keep them south of the Dallas area, let's say that. It might be a little further south than that. I don't remember. I'm not looking at the map right now, but it's bad. It's bad everywhere. And so, you know, elections have consequences. And as soon as that guy came in, under the conditions that he came in under, pretty much things started going south from there. More and more censorship, less and less freedom, and you know, of course, sanctions and stuff, all this other stuff that brought on the collapse of everything. So, okay. I'm hearing a dog out here in the distance barking somewhere. That's not normal. I don't normally hear this dog, so I'm not sure what's going on. But I don't believe it's on my property. It's probably on one of the neighbors' properties. But anyways, I'm fixing to go out on a patrol and just go around, looking around for footprints, looking around for people that might have, you know, stumbled onto some of my caches. I've got a couple of caches out here where I've got some emergency supplies, like some extra ammo and stuff like that, some extra food, first aid gear, things like that. Another thing that we were deficient on that I wish we'd have stocked up on more of is like your neosporins and your other just creams like that, your hydrocortisone creams and stuff, because we're spending so much time outside that we're covered with ticks and chiggers almost every night. Pretty much every other night is what we've been doing. My wife and I will get together for 20 or 30 minutes and just pick ticks off each other. It's awful. It's not something I ever thought we'd be doing, but here we are. And luckily for me, my wife is very savvy on wild edibles and plants and things like that, and just, you know, medicinal values of these different plants. So that's been a really wonderful thing. We've got a book on wild edibles of our area, and I would advise anybody that's listening to this to get a hold of a book like that, because that is a game changer. But guys, I don't want to go on too long here, because I'm making noise. Just talking quietly like this could actually triangulate my position for somebody else. So I'm going to go out here and see if I can't hunt up a squirrel or two for dinner tonight. And if not, I'm going to go over and hit the pond and try to catch a couple of fish, because my wife and I, we need some protein, we need some food, we need energy. So I hope you're doing better. I hope that you're set up better than we were and stuff. And we still do have the shipping containers up there, but again, I'm scared to sleep in it because there's only one way in and out of that thing. And not only that, when you're inside of the shipping container with the door closed, because it's just got the standard shipping type door on it, if somebody came up and you were snoozing, they could lock you in there and make you a prisoner inside of your own container. So I really don't feel comfortable staying in there. I'd much rather stay outside under a cedar tree or over here in my teepee, things like that, just to give me a way out. Because even in this teepee, if somebody came up the front here, I could bust through the back and get out of here if I had to. So yeah, it's a lot worse than I ever imagined it to be. We're running out of everything. I wish we had more Neosporin and hydrocortisone creams, and just one of the things that we discovered before the shit hit the fan was we got this stuff called Permethrin, and you can get it down at like Tractor Supply and places like that. Back then you could. I don't know if you still can. There probably isn't any Tractor Supply anymore, but anyways, this Permethrin stuff, you spray it on your clothes and it keeps the ticks off. Not so much the chiggers. It reduces the chiggers, but it doesn't totally keep them away. But yeah, the idea is you spray it on your clothes and then you let it dry out, and then when the ticks come along and touch that stuff, it kills them. So that's been really nice, having that stuff around. We've also got some diatomaceous earth, some bags of diatomaceous earth. So I'll come out here, you know, once a month or so and sprinkle out diatomaceous earth all around where I'm sleeping, any of the places where I'm going to be sleeping, and that helps to cut down on the ticks and chiggers. But just a lot of things that people didn't think about, and it's tough. You're just in a constant state of depression almost, and when you're not depressed, the only reason you're not depressed is because your adrenaline is flowing and pumping so hard, because you're under threat of either someone coming in and taking your stuff or killing you or whatever. So I'm gonna go up here in the front and start my perimeter check and go around and see if I see any footprints or anything like that. We do have fencing up, but being what it is, you know, people are so desperate right now, they'll cut your fence right down with, you know, all it takes is some bolt cutters or whatever to cut through barbed wire. So it's not very hard for them to undermine your fencing. So anyways, I hope you guys are doing better out there. I hope you stocked up more than we did. And God bless you. God bless the United States of America, or what's left of it.